Hello everyone, welcome to today's video where I know this is very late, but time has been it disappeared and I don't know what to do. But I wanted to talk about my 2021 favorites and see whether they're still favorites or not, because I was hoping to do a favorite video soon. So I wanted to kind of like look at the products that I was loving in 2021 and see if it, or not even 2021, was it 2020? I don't know. The last favorites that I did, I think it was in 2021. I think so. And if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure I'm wrong. Anyways, but the last yearly favorites where I kind of talked about all of my favorites of that year, that's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna talk about what was favorite at that time and if they're still favorites, if I still use them, if I kind of forgot about them, and see how it goes. This video was supposed to be posted in December. I was supposed to film it and post it in December, but again, it's hard to find the time to do all of the things that I want to do, but better late than never. That's what I think. Anyways, so let's talk about the favorite. I think it was in 2020. I think that was when I did this. I think this is my 2020 favorites. The first thing I talked about was the Air Flash Dior foundation, and honestly, the last foundation that I was using was the Fenty foundation because I was trying to kind of like finish it and use it up. I didn't pay attention to any of my foundation except for the Fenty Beauty foundation. And honestly, I should have used it today, but I completely forgot. This foundation was good. I used to use it with the Fenty Beauty foundation actually to kind of like make it better because this is very glowy and the Fenty foundation was very matte, so they worked well together. But I haven't used this in so long and it's a good foundation, don't get me wrong, but I wish they would do kind of like a more natural finish, closer to matte finish of this foundation, because it looks really good. It looks super airbrush on your skin. It's just like, I think it makes your skin look better than it was before you put foundation on. You put foundation, your skin will look better, but like, it just makes it look so good. I love how it looks on the skin. I don't like the spray because it's always so cold to put it on your face, but it's a good foundation to use. Super expensive though, and I think that is one of the reasons why I try not to use it every day, because that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money and I feel bad when I use it. Next thing I mentioned, the Too Faced concealer, Born This Way concealer, and to this day it's the only concealer I use. I haven't bought any other new concealer. This is the only concealer I'm using, and it looks good. It stays on your face for a very long time. It doesn't look cakey under my eyes. I've used some concealers where I never had texture under my eyes, but it seems like it highlighted everything. But this concealer, it just looks good, the coverage is good, and it doesn't feel like I'm using it today and I just don't feel it under my eyes. It looks good. I want to try new concealers because I love trying things, but I think when I'm finished with this, I don't know if I will rebuy it. I wish there was a mini of this. They should do that. I wish there was a mini so I can have it in my collection because it's a good concealer while I'm trying to kind of like see other concealers, because this is a good concealer, but like at the same time I want to see what else is out there. Maybe I can find my perfect concealer. So this shade is not, it's too light for me. This is in the golden beige shade, but it looks good. It looks very good. I love it. I think I will kind of like use it until I'm done with this. Use it every time I do my foundation. Again, I have a few concealers, but this is the only concealer I use. I mentioned this multiple times in today's video, but I love this concealer. It looks really good, and I am so happy it is in my life. Next thing I mentioned was blushes, I think. I don't remember, but I mentioned the H&M blushes, and they are good blushes. Like, it looks really good. It blends on your face so well. I haven't used it in a while. This is the shade Cameo Pink. This is super old. I'm surprised how it looks exactly the same. I don't know how, but it just looks really nice. This shade is not my favorite shade, but I sometimes mix it with the shade Brown Sugar. I don't know where I kept it. I have no idea where I kept it, but I use them together. It looks really good on your skin. I love the shade of it. I'm more into kind of like blush shades that seem kind of like nothing, you know, like I want to wear blushes that just don't have a specific color. Like if you look at it on my face, you're just like, is it pink, is it red, what shade is it? That's the kind of blushes that I like, and these are a good shades that I have and I use, but I haven't used it in a while. I have been very obsessed with cream blushes since last year, and that has been all that I have used last year. Or I have used the other blush that I am going to mention now, which is the Tarte Zonian Clay blush. I had actually hit pan on this. This is how much I used it. I'm using it today, and I love the shade. I love the shade. Again, this is so old and it looks good. It still looks good. I still wear it. I still just like love the shade. I love how it wears on your face. I love how it's easy to blend. It never looks like much. It just looks good. Like, that's all I can say. I'm not very good at describing things. I'm trying my best, but it just like looks good. That's all I want from my makeup. Do they look good? Yes or no? Yes, that's all I want. But this shade is good. I wish it was more brown because I'm very into that kind of like blush shades at the moment. Trying to swatch it to show you, but it literally looks like nothing. You can barely see it. Can you see it? It's this. You can't even see it that well, but like you can see the brown orange thing. That's the blush. I love shades like this. I'm into kind of like basic shades, blushes that put color on my face without adding too much color on my face. That makes absolutely no sense. But let's move on to the other things that I mentioned. I mentioned the Fenty Beauty Gloss in the shade Fenty Glow. I don't remember the last time I used it. I used it today because I wanted to remind myself, and it's so beautiful. It's so pretty. The glosses are so much to handle. Like they're always sticking everywhere. Your hair is stuck on it, and it's annoying. It's very annoying, but I love the shade. Like I love the shade. I love how glossy it is on my lips. I used it today with Huda Beauty Terracotta lip liner, and it looks good. It looks good. I love how glossy it is. They're hard to use, glosses. They're very annoying to use. Just like, why is my hair stuck on my lips all the time? I wish there were gloss that are glossy but like not sticky. But I know that sticky glosses are the ones that stay on your lips for longer, but I just haven't been using it much. I am not into glosses at the moment. I'm more into kind of like either like normal lipstick or lip liners. So I don't know if it's still a favorite though. I didn't even mention the foundation Dior Air Flash. Is it a favorite? Not at the moment. The Too Faced concealer, I would say it's a favorite. The H&M blush, not at the moment. The Tarte, yes, it is a very much still a favorite. And this is not now. Next, I mentioned the NYX Glitter Primer, and honestly, this is the best purchase that I have ever made in my life because it made my life so much easier. I can use shimmer shades without it going all over my face after 1 hour, 2 hours, especially with how oily my face is. It just goes everywhere. I used to apply shimmers, and then like especially where my eye folds, there's nothing there. It's annoying, but this just made my life so much easier. I know that Too Faced Glitter Primer seems like a better one because people say that the formula is so much better and it lasts so much longer than this. Like I have used this sometimes and I went outside and it was very hot. Like we live in a climate where it's so hot, so humid, and I think 4 or 5 or 6 hours later, that was not helpful, but like hours later, I saw that where my eye folds there was nothing there, but on my lid the shimmer was still there, still looking good, and even if I touch it, it doesn't move. So that's good. I think. I mean, no one is touching my eyelid, and I'm not touching my eyelid, so is that a pro, or it's just a weird thing to mention? But it's a good one. It's a good one. I think if I finished it, I will try to get a hold the Too Faced primer and see if it's better than this one and if it lasts longer. But it's just like, it's good. It's good. It's still a favorite, and it will forever be a favorite. I think it's a favorite for what it does more of this product itself. I think like it's a favorite because I love how glitter primer has made my life easier, but I wouldn't necessarily say that this is the best glitter primer there is. Next up, I mentioned the Maybelline tattoo liner in shade Rich Berry and Rich Amethyst. If you're trying to find a look where I didn't use these two, it's gonna be very difficult. It's hard. It's hard. I use them all the time. I use these two so much. I sharpened this one, the Rich Berry. I think this is the one I use the most. It's more of like dark purple, and Rich Amethyst is black purple, it seems like. So this is Rich Amethyst and this is Rich Berry. I love Rich Berry more than Rich Amethyst because I feel like it's more, how do I say this? But it just seems, it's the shade that I can use with different kind of look. If I do like a brown, which I do often, I can use this Rich Berry shade and it wouldn't look kind of like weird. And I also wear a lot of pink mauve shades, and this Rich Berry shade looks really good together. While the Rich Berry is just like, I think I have to do a specific look to use the Rich Berry one, I mean Rich Amethyst. But these two, the formula is really good. It looks really nice. What's it called? The tight line? I think that tight line, I can blend it out again if I wanted to. And I actually used it as a liner sometimes on my lid. Really nice, really easy to work with. It stays on your skin for a long time. Like whenever I swatch it to show you guys, I will have the swatch till tomorrow. Even if I scrub my skin, it will stay there until the next day. It is really good, and it's so cheap. It's from Maybelline. If you're trying to find like a drugstore liner that you're going to be using every day, I think look at the tattoo liners from Maybelline. Try to find a shade that works for you because it is just so long wearing, so easy to work with, and I love their formula. Next up, I think I talked about eyeshadows, I think, but I have 3 eyeshadows that I mentioned in that video, and one of them was the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde, and I have another favorite from Huda Beauty. When I do the current favorite, I will mention it. I used it a few times last year, this eyeshadow palette. I love how it looks, but with Huda Beauty, I mention this all the time, I feel like her mattes are too light for her palettes, because it just like, can you see how light these shades are? It's not helpful for your looks, especially when you have so many shimmer shades. Like whenever I use this palette, I always have to use these two at the end, which is Vortex Hot Mess, because I love applying a dark shade in my outer corner, and these are the only 2 options that I have in this palette, which is, how many shades are these? 18 shades. 18 shades in a palette and only 2 shades that I can use. I think it's just like not very smart, but I love the shimmer shades. I love how it looks. Like I love the shade Supernova. Can you see how much I used it? I also love the shade Gold Glitch. I think this shade Gold Glitch is a very beautiful shade. Let me swatch them. Supernova is a duochrome. It changes from pink to kind of like orange. Can you see it? Maybe not. I don't think you can see it. Changes to orange to, or more like peach to pink. Very beautiful. It's a beautiful shade. So this is Supernova, is it? This is Supernova and this is Glitch, Gold Glitch. The swatches are so bad, excuse me, because it's hard to do swatches, but I just think, I don't know, I think it should have more matte shades so your looks don't look the same every time you use this palette, because That's what happens to me. My looks, even though the shimmers, I can change the shimmer shades on my lid, at the end it still looks the same because the shimmer shades are also very similar to each other in this palette. So I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a favorite, especially since I have another favorite that is much better than this palette. So that is my favorite Huda Beauty palette at the moment, but this have more matte shades and her big palette especially, because I just feel like two bad dark shades are not enough in my opinion. Next up, I mentioned Mothership Sublime palette. Last year I bought finally one of her big palettes, which was the Divine Rose 2. Whenever I want to use a Pat McGrath palette, I use that instead of this one. But I wore it a few times. This palette, I think, is very everyday palette for me. I love how the matte shades look. I love the shimmer shades, but I think those shimmer shades are so much better than the Divine Rose 2, the big palette. I don't think these kind of like 6-pan eyeshadows are that different from any other brand. So if you are trying to buy a Pat McGrath palette and you want something a bit cheaper, for example, like these prices are much cheaper than the 12-pan, I suggest you don't buy this because I don't think you will see anything different from any other brand that you can buy, because it's not new, it's not unique. You can find very similar formulas in other brands. So I don't know, I wouldn't recommend them. Is it a favorite? Not really, not anymore. And the only way I would know this is not as like fantastic and wonderful is if I bought it and actually used it, or else I wouldn't know. So if you want to, you can buy it, but I just think either try to kind of save up and buy the 12-pan or just don't buy them. These palettes are not that special. They're very similar to, for example, Natasha Denona or Huda Beauty, if you like. They're fine. They're fine. They're not new and amazing and unique. Next is my favorite palette of all time. Like it's just wonderful, and it's the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette. This palette, when I see my favorite palette from my collection, I mean it, like the top. It's number one. I used it so many times last year. I love this palette. I love the shimmers. I love the mattes. I feel like there's enough matte shades and there are enough shimmer shades, and you can kind of like do different looks with this palette and your looks wouldn't look similar to each other. The mattes are wonderful, the shimmers are wonderful. It's easy to pick up, to apply it on your eyes, especially the shimmer shades, which I cannot say for Huda Beauty. Those shimmer shades are very different. This, if you want one Natasha Denona and you love the shades, I think you should buy this. If you want one and you like the shades, obviously. If you don't like the shades, don't buy this. But if this is your color story and you look at this and you're like inspired, go ahead and buy it because it's fantastic. If this gets broken or lost or stolen, I will rebuy it immediately. Like I wouldn't even second guess. I would just buy it. Till this day, sometimes when I'm scrolling through like kind of like websites and I see a picture of this, I immediately was like, what is this palette? And I realize it's the Sunrise palette. It just like grabs my attention so much. I love it so much. Next, I think I mentioned some skincare products and then we're gonna end it. So I mentioned the Sunday Riley UFO Ultra Clarifying Face Oil, and at that time I had the mini size. When I finished that, I went and bought the big one. I still love this oil, but now that I'm using the Retinol Oil from the same brand, I think if I finished it, I wouldn't buy this again. I think I will either buy the smaller one or just use the Retinol Oil. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. It's hard for me to speak, I'm so hungry. This is a good oil. It does a lot of good stuff for my skin. My skin loves this stuff, but I don't know. I feel like I know the kind of like products now that I can use when I am breaking out, and I just want to use retinol because I'm getting older. This is good. Maybe I will rebuy it in the smaller size. I think when I don't have this in my collection, I kind of miss it and think if I had it, my skin will look better. So I think I will buy the smaller one. It's a good face oil. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's expensive, so I have to be very, very sure that I want to buy it and use it actually. So yeah, I will rebuy it in the smaller size, but I don't think I will ever buy it in the big size again, because even though my skin breaks out till this day, and I think until the day I die, my skin at that time was so bad. I kept getting breakouts all over my chin every day, bigger than the day before. So it was just like horrible. I didn't know what to do. That was why I went and rebought it, because I used it a while ago. So this is my third bottle. I used it a while ago and I loved how it looked. So that was when I thought, let me buy the Sunday Riley one since it worked so well that last time. And it worked. It made my skin better, but at the moment I'm not getting those kind of breakouts that were so big and nothing would make them go away. So yeah, I think maybe it is the reason why I'm not breaking out as much. So maybe I should have it in my collection all the time. Next is the Fenty Beauty Lip Balm, and the shade I bought, the shade Cocoa Drizzle. I still love this lip balm, but hate how messy it is. Like, look at how messy this is. Like, what? Why? I clean it basically every week. Every week I clean it up because it just like goes everywhere. I love how it looks on your lips. I love how moisturizing and hydrating it is. I just don't like the packaging. I wish they improve the packaging where it doesn't go everywhere, and it's not like I store it this way. Like, I have it lying down, so I don't know why it's going everywhere. I don't know. Maybe I should store it this way. Like, who stores their lip balm like this? I have it on my bedside table. I will rebuy this. It's still a favorite. I would rebuy it maybe in a different shade, because Cocoa Drizzle is more of like dark brown. Let me swatch it to show you. It's kind of like a cool tone dark brown, and I think it's hard sometimes to use. Like, this is it. So it's too dark, I think. So I want something a bit more kind of like lighter, where I can wear it without makeup and it doesn't look like I have just wore lipstick and went out. So yeah, it's still a favorite, but in different shade, and please improve your packaging. Hi. I forgot to mention about this product, but I kind of like ran out of it and I never rebought it, because again, when I was using it was when my skin was so bad. When I bought the Sunday Riley, I bought this as well. And because my skin hasn't been as bad as it was like in 2020, I didn't think I need to buy it. I don't know. It still was very good. It worked so well for me. But I don't know. I think I will have to go back to my skin being super, super bad like last time for me to rebuy it. But it's a good product. Like, it worked really, really well. That's it. Back to the video. Last thing I mentioned was the Aoa Sponge, and honestly, I went and rebought it. It's still a favorite. I will have to find something that is much cheaper than this, which seems like a very difficult job because this is as cheap as it gets. I love the sponges. They're just like as good as the beauty blender. When you use it with your foundation, it kind of takes some of the foundation. I don't remember the right word to describe it, but I don't care as long as it is cheaper and it looks good. And honestly, take my foundation because I have too many of them and I want to finish all of them up. So I don't mind. So yeah, I love the sponges. They work so well and they're so soft and it's so cheap. So I don't think I will ever not buy these sponges because they're good and I love good stuff. And that is it. That is all the things that I mentioned, like beauty wise, and my 2020 favorite. This is a fun video to do. It made me kind of like look at the things that I was wearing or loving like a few years ago and see where I'm at, because I think in a year a lot of things can change. I think my makeup has changed so much, like my makeup style and the makeup things that I like changed so much. but in some ways they're exactly the same. So I hope you guys liked today's video. Excuse me while I'm trying to kind of say words in this video. It was very difficult to speak because I'm so hungry. I'm gonna go eat, can't wait. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.